the Blues got a win in Super Rugby. 33 points to 29 over the Canes. It was a tight one. Blues kind of back from the dead after the Canes put on a pretty impressive start to the second half and held on despite a red card at the end to Hoskins Tutu. Lead changed multiple times. I won't say either side will be 100% satisfied because there were certainly a few mistakes. The bloody kicks out on the full by the Blues. Quite incredible to see that virtually identical play done twice in a row. But hey, it is a win. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts if the Blues are back or if there's kind of more question marks raised by this win than anything else. It's culture round, so they did haka to start this game, which was something we don't often see that much in Super Rugby. Wellington looked a wee bit windy. But yeah, it was the Hurricanes who started conceding a couple of penalties. And the ref, Angus Gardner, was pretty quick on the whistle and pretty quick to give yellow card warnings, to be fair. Like, it didn't take much in the way of, like, a couple of penalties and you were pretty much on the warning in this one. But the Canes did well to shut down the Blues maul early because the Blues were not really looking to opt for threes. And it was a big difference between the strategies of the side this week because the Canes were quite happy to keep the scoreboard ticking over through the boot of Harry Godfrey. But yeah, no points for the Blues. Hurricanes go down the other end on the 9th minute, get the first points of the game with a penalty. And 3 points apiece. So different strategies. Blues often going for touch. Canes taking the 3. Blues kept on with the maul. They kept on opting for a scrum. They eventually got the Canes yellow carded. So that kind of pressure paid off. Sometimes it's nice to see a team, when the opposition gets on the yellow card warning, not kind of take the foot off the jugular. It's often a kind of captain hindsight one. Like, if you don't get the try, you look stupid. But if you do get them to concede a try, or you get them to concede a yellow card, you look good. Well, the Blues got a good call here. They just kept going. They weren't opting for 3. Canes concede a penalty. Numia gets yellow carded for a tackle off the ball, and then the Blues go for a 5-metre scrum, so the Canes have got to bring on Rakete Stones. It's a monstrous scrum from the Blues, and it gets a penalty try. So 7 points for the Blues suddenly on the board, and a second yellow card for the Canes. Rakete Stones just come on. He goes off for 10 minutes as well. So the Blues, kind of like last week, are playing a side with 2 men down. But apparently that doesn't work for the Blues. We don't like playing with a 2-man advantage because, geez, you'd think it was the Canes who had the man advantage because they conceded a couple of quick advantages, and then the third one, which was still the kind of same set of plays, it was just advantage, and then the third advantage, Rico gets himself yellow carded. So on the back of too many penalties conceded, well, not even really penalties, just advantages conceded, the Blues get one. So it's 14 against 13. If we'd gotten one more down for the Blues, we might have just well had a bloody game rugby league. But yeah, there were a few cards at that point of the game. Canes take the 3, 7 points to 6. It is back to a 1-point game. Good to see the Blues forwards respond, though, because there's been a little bit kind of criticism thrown at the Blues for not really having that kind of physical fronting up, which we saw from them in that kind of title campaign last year. The likes of Satutu with big carry, Paddy Tuipulotu, likewise getting himself some go forward. And then Ricky Riccatelli against his old team, going over for a try. He's doing bloody well in the old fantasy, old Ricky Riccatelli. I have to bring him in at some point. But yeah, 14 points to 6. So the Blues extend the lead once again. But the Hurricanes' reply is immediate. Both these sides, I think, will be frustrated with their inability just to catch and get a decent exit. Because the Canes, as I said, pretty much immediate. Blues offside. Hurricanes a wee bit scrappy in the Blues 22. But then when the ball kind of pops out loose and the Blues give away an advantage for kind of hoofing it through the ruck with the feet, that man Godfrey, geez, he was on fire. Cut straight through the Blues defence like nothing. And we got a 14-13 game. So it is genuinely pretty crazy. But the craziness goes on because the Blues from the restart, they've got an attacking line out. Josh Berry, he's able to get himself a bit of space. Then Suafoa, after a bunch of phases, scores the ultimate no celebration try. It was the most anticlimactic try I've basically seen the Blues score, but that counts. So Satutu with the pass for the assist. It was down by Suafoa's shins, but he did well to pick it up and go over the line. So 21 points to 13. Can the Blues? No. The Hurricanes reply virtually immediately. They win a penalty. Godfrey knocks it over. It's a one-score game, and then he knocks over another one as we go into the halftime sheds with a 21-19 lead to the Blues. She's been pretty even in a lot of areas. Run meters are 204 to 190 to the Canes. Clean breaks 3-1 to the Blues, but defenders beaten 14-8 to the Canes. Blues have mauled it a bit more, 3-1. Canes have had more possession and territory, and they've conceded one more penalty, 6-5. So 6-5 is not like an egregious penalty count, but I guess it doesn't count all the build-up advantages. But to have 3 yellow cards from 11 penalties just seems unusual, put it that way. Usually it takes more penalties to get that many cards. Hurricanes start the second half with a proper hiss and a roar. But I feel like this is the winning of the game because the Blues defense held them out time and time again. You had Naholo diving over the goal line over the ruck. He drops the ball anyway, but Angus Gardner pings him for diving over the ruck to try and score a try. Says you can't do that. So that's one opportunity gone. The Blues defensive maul holds not long later. Papali'i gets in there, shuts it down. That's a chance missed for the Canes. And the Hurricanes go 20 phases. 20 phases. They start going backwards. It is a real defensive shift from the Blues. At that point, the Canes have had like 84% territory in the second half. So the Blues can't get out of their own half. And when they do get the ball, they kick the bloody thing out on the full twice. I think it was Clark and then, was it Plummer? Bloody hell. Like, I turned away from the TV and came back to the TV to see the ball sailing back over the line and thought they've shown a replay. But no, it was a second kick out on the full. They just couldn't escape and not doing themselves any favours, the Blues. I mean, to be fair, the Canes' next line-out wasn't straight anyway, but finally the Canes did get the score for the reward of the pressure that they were putting on the Blues. I mean, the Blues' goal line defence, to be honest, was pretty incredible until it was broken. I mean, you had Umaga Jensen with a line break, Lakai on the carry, Karifi with the kind of pop ball. They went so close to the Blues line. Eventually, they just found the width out to Naholo, and he's able to get the try on the hour, which makes it 26-21. So that is a lead change. And then they get a penalty not long later to make it 29-21. So, you know, 2-score game. Canes lead with quarter of an hour to go. And the Blues haven't had any ball, really. But then when the Canes do actually have to do a bit of defending, again, this kind of quick yellow card warning comes back in. The Canes don't get the card, but the Blues have only really been on the attack for a short period of time. The Canes give away a couple of penalties, and they're on the warning again. They're on the warning pretty much immediately, and the Blues punish. So despite the fact that the Canes don't get the yellow, they still punish. Satutu with the kind of tap, shovels it left, one phase, and then they shovel it back right to Satutu. Powers over from close range. It is a hell of a line. It is a hell of a try. Satutu's looking like a world beater at that point, but he's going to have more action in the game in a not positive way a bit later. But that's a 1-point game, 29-28. And then, oh my God, the try of the game. Bodie, when he's finally not kicking the flipping thing. I mean, kicking's part of the game. But sometimes you just want to see Bodie run it. And Bodie ran it from his own 22. Shaped to kick, but no, he runs it. It's thing of beauty stuff. Wide pass out to Caleb Clark. Jenkin and Jivin out on the left wing. Gets tackled and they shift it wide. Outright to Talia. Talia just burns Hohepa one-on-one on the outside. Hohepa shows him the touchline. He steps around and just takes it. It is a hell of a finish. 33-29. That is the final scoring. We still had game to play though. And Satutu, like I mentioned, he was going to get back in the action. Well, he puts a shoulder into the head of Peter Lakai. He gets himself yellow carded, which later gets upgraded to red. So it's not going to make a difference in terms of how long he's off for, because there's only 5 minutes to go anyway. But chance for the Canes. Hurricanes get a few penalties, few advantages. They've got a chance to win it with a 5-meter line out and end up knocking it on. I don't think Karifi will look back on the replay with that one because it wasn't really the play. It needed a bit of patience, but that means the Blues have got a scrum on their own goal line with like a minute to play. I say a minute, it took like 5 because there was some fart-assing around to be doing with like deciding who needed to go off. Did Sam Knock need to go off, or Christie, or whatever with an HIA? The independent match doctor was having a look at some footage, couldn't find anything. So we had quite a long stoppage, but eventually the callers play on. The Hurricanes put the heat on the scrum. They reset the thing. They put the heat on again. And despite the fact that the Blues are backpedaling on the scrum, they call it that the angle for the Canes tight head is illegal, so it is a Blues penalty. Bodie is able to kick the thing out, and the Blues hang on for a win. As I mentioned, the defensive set, I think, is what gets it done, because the Canes needed to score the opening stanza of that second. Like, the possession stats finish 61-39 and Territory's 58-42. But second half is Canes possession 65% and Territory's 62%. They should have done more with that second half ball they had. They had more run meters, 473 to 408, more clean breaks, 5 to 4. They also conceded a couple more penalties, 11 to 9, and the tackle count was a bit lower. The Blues were 87, which is pretty good. The Canes were 81, which is getting a bit low. Josh Berry had 21 tackles and a clean break. It was glorious. Talia had 83 metres, scored a nice try. Brad Shields beat 6 defenders. Peter Lakai made 75 metres of his own, was getting himself into some space, but ultimately it is a win for my Blues, so I am a happy chappy. I thought we were going to lose it at the end, to be honest. I could see a Canes scrum penalty coming, but the ref saw it the other way. Blues are home to the Brumbies next, which could be an interesting one, because so far Super Rugby's looking pretty bloody competitive, and the Hurricanes will be away to Moana Pacifica. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. She was a pretty crazy one, but the Blues, certainly a heap more tries. Canes kept the scoreboard ticking over with the penalties, but maybe they should have been a bit more ambitious. Still finished bloody close, and they could have won it either way. You guys let us know your thoughts, and talk to you guys again soon. See you later.